And we're kicking off today with Smackdown, as LA Knight wasn't a part of last night's show, and it was stated at the time that his absence from the show was medically related. In an update, WWE sources confirmed in Fightful that Knight couldn't be on the show due to testing positive for COVID shortly before Smackdown, and had to be evacuated from the building. Knight had originally been scheduled to be a part of the main event segment, which included John Cena, Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy Uso sharing the ring, but that segment went ahead without Knight. Knight had supposed to have been the one to come to John Cena's aid on the show, setting up a tag team match at Fastlane, but instead it was AJ Styles who aligned with Cena. With that said, Styles was written off with a backstage attack before he could sign the contract, and was placed on a stretcher, put in an ambulance, and likely taken to a nearby medical facility. Without Styles by his side, Cena would sign the contract and wait for his partner, and an infuriated John would attack Sikoa and Uso, but would prove to be outnumbered and would be hit with multiple splashes to close out the show. It's currently unknown if Styles will be competing at Fastlane, and this mystery will give a nice sense of buzz and intrigue to an event many will have written off as an afterthought. As to who may team with Cena instead of Styles, it may indeed be LA Knight, as there'd be few more effective ways to solidify the megastar than having him headline Fastlane with John Cena. Speaking of Big Match John, Sean Ross Sapp was asked from the Fightful Select mailbag about Cena's status with WWE and confirmed that he is available right now due to the writer's strike. While it's been suggested that the strike could end soon, Sapp said that WWE are not worried about Cena not fulfilling his dates if that is the case, and expect that he will make all appearances he is committed to. WWE has a lot of faith in Cena, and rightly so, given how he's been the consummate professional over the years, so no matter if it's Styles or Knight, expect Cena at Fastlane and in the weeks following the event. We have some breaking news now as WWE decided to release Matt Riddle. In a statement released on Twitter, Riddle announced his departure and thanked his fans for all the years of memories. The move follows mass talent cuts by WWE on Thursday, when the promotion released at least 22 stars or prospective stars in the way of its acquisition by Endeavor and merger with Ultimate Fighting Championship. Over the course of his career, he won the NXT Tag Team Championship with Pete Dunne, now known as Butch, the Raw Tag Team Championship with Randy Orton, and the WWE United States Championship. His WWE run was also characterized by prominent accusations against him during the Speaking Out movement, his real-life feud with Seth Rollins, and his multiple drug suspensions, the most recent of which came in 2022 and resulted in him being removed from television. Riddle returned on the WWE Raw after WrestleMania 39, but with a somewhat diminished role in the absence of his injured partner, Orton. Riddle made headlines earlier this month for an incident at JFK Airport and hadn't been seen on television since. Despite reports that his absence was not related to the airport altercation and that he was making his return to WWE Raw this week, Fightful Select is now reporting that Riddle hasn't been backstage or on the road with WWE since he was pulled from weekend events and the September 11th episode of Raw. Fightful claims Riddle was not planned for a return and not part of WWE's creative plans following the incident, despite the fact that he was in the middle of a storyline that had seen him teaming up with Drew McIntyre, and says one source cited Riddle as having burned through too many chances while in WWE. Riddle was spotted recently at a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu dojo alongside Shayna Baszler, as he seemed to be in high spirits, but what's next for the King of Bros? Well, Riddle's background in mixed martial arts will make him intriguing to MMA promotions, though UFC may be a dead end since A. UFC merged with WWE as part of TKO Group Holdings, and B. Dana White hates Matt Riddle's guts. I think it's only logical to expect Riddle landing in AEW at this moment. What do you think? Sound off in the comments below. This week saw Top Dolla get released from WWE, but his Hit Row allies Ashante, Adonis, and B-Fab remain, and were present during last night's Smackdown taping. One day after Dolla was released, Adonis competed in a dark match before Smackdown against Cameron Grimes, and B-Fab accompanied Adonis for his match. Interestingly, B-Fab accompanied Adonis, and she made a reference to Top Dolla, as reported by fans who were in attendance, but in the end, it was Grimes who got the win. Top Dolla, aka AJ Francis, is now out of WWE and has already got himself a new name. After his release, Francis released a new music video and made his email available for booking starting on January 1st, and when responding to a fan, gave his new moniker saying, "It's Dolla, just Dolla." and we'll have to see what's next for him once he starts taking bookings again next year. 1 week removed from laying out the LWO, the Street Profits look to go 2-0 with the group as they face the US champion Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. Unfortunately for Bobby Lashley's allies, they came up short against the masked veteran in Escobar in a match that delivered as you'd expect, considering the talents in the ring. The finish was somewhat of a surprise, and we hope that this is setting up a longer feud between the LWO and Lashley's faction. Otherwise, this was an odd time to have the Profits drop a match. Backstage, Lashley berated the Profits, threatening to take everything away from them if they're not going to win, adding another layer of intrigue into this group. While we love the Street Profits music as much as the next person, we do hope that they get a new theme, as their current theme is just too babyface and doesn't have a much needed edge to match their heel turn. Smackdown also saw Austin Theory recap his run-in with The Rock last week and would tear up the announce table and threaten Michael Cole. A backstage segment that included Theory, Grayson Waller, and the Brawling Brutes would see Adam Pearce book a tag match, with the heels getting the win over Butch and Ridge Holland. Now, this week's releases saw Quincy Elliott cut from WWE, and for many in the company, they'll be happy to see him go. Answering questions from the mailbag on Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp said that Elliott caused a lot of issues backstage, including talking trash about his peers, and caused some headaches in NXT. Quincy Elliott was said to be aggressive with staff when informed about his release, which has only made those in WWE more assured that his firing was the right decision. Elliott would have a total of 27 matches with NXT, with his most recent match being against Ikemen Jiro during a live event in Tampa last month. Elliott was not seen as a good wrestler, which made his trash-talking of others seem even more foolish on his part, and it may be a while before another promotion is ready to offer him a contract. Riddick Moss was another name released from WWE this week, which was somewhat of a surprise, given that WWE once had high expectations for his future. On Twitter, Moss reacted to his release from WWE, saying that he has graduated the promotion, and said a lot of people believe his career took a downturn once Triple H became head of creative. It is true that Moss was used less on TV once that change happened in July 2022, but the former 24/7 champion said that his per-match fee skyrocketed through the roof. Moss added that other promoters should be prepared to back the Brinks truck up, joking that he'll be charging a truck full of money for appearances when he's allowed to compete outside WWE. As a release from the main roster, Moss won't be competing until his 90-day non-compete clause expires on December 20th, but the 2022 Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner won't let this setback stop his career in the ring. Much of the excitement going into last night's SmackDown was for the women's title match between Io Sky and Asuka, and the two did not disappoint, putting on an excellent quality of match. There was a smoothness and effortlessness to their sequences that you don't see from others in WWE, but while the in-ring action impressed, the booking left a bit to be desired. Charlotte Flair was at ringside to lay out Bayley, setting up the tired distraction finish, keeping Flair in the title picture, and recreates the same tension the Queen had with Bianca Belair over the summer. If we didn't know any better, we'd say WWE is contractually obligated to have Flair around the women's title picture at all times, with the Queen interrupting in the opening seconds of the match. While Flair was there, Shotzi was again nowhere to be seen, as for the second week in a row, someone who once had a personal vendetta with Bayley and Damage Control is letting the group do what they want. It makes little sense from a WWE creative team that has been booking the women's division all over the place for the better part of the last year, and we wouldn't be surprised if WWE has removed Shotzi and given Flair her spot. Nevertheless, Asuka and Sky delivered, with strikes unlike anything the division has seen, but this match, perhaps the biggest of Sky's title reign, deserved a better finish. During this week's AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, Jon Moxley suffered a concussion during a pre-match brawl with Rey Fenix, but was able to go ahead with the pair's AEW International title match. Despite a botched pinfall count from the ref, the match ended with Fenix standing tall as the new champion, and while Mox wrestled with a concussion this time, it won't be happening again. The Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that Jon Moxley must pass a concussion protocol before he is allowed to make a return to the ring. Since Moxley wasn't knocked out and could still wrestle, Fenix and Mox didn't realize how badly he'd been hurt during the brawl, nor did the medical team who were at ringside. It was only when Moxley realized that he was feeling seriously messed up that he called for the finish, which saw Fenix hit a sit-out piledriver not once, but twice. With AEW Wrestle Dream around the corner and Full Gear not far behind, this concussion comes at a very bad time for Tony Khan, and we're wishing Moxley a full and speedy recovery. In recent weeks, Scripps, Bronco Nima, and Lucian Price have proven to be quite the trio in NXT, and it now appears that this group now has its own name. During an NXT segment, Nima recalled hustling for cash on the streets and said, "From the dirt to making it out of the mud," to which Price responded, "OTM." It appears OTM will be the group's name, with WWE already trademarking both OTM and Out the Mud, so expect to hear plenty more of that name in the weeks and months to come. As channels such as Botchamania have proved, some fans love seeing mistakes being made in the ring and on TV, but now one popular Twitter account that does just that has been suspended. As their name suggests, AEW Botches posted mistakes from Tony Khan's company, and fans have made it clear that they hope to see the account be brought back to the platform. Since returning to WWE earlier this month, Nia Jax has hardly been making friends among the women's division, targeting whoever she can to make a statement. This week's Raw was no different, with Jax leveling multiple superstars including Chelsea Green, who is ready to take the former Raw Women's Champion and WWE to court. Tweeting that her major hematoma had been popped due to Jax's attack, the two-time Women's Tag Team Champion said she will be taking action against WWE, who she told to prepare the paperwork. This is of course a kayfabe threat by Green, who has often threatened legal action against WWE if she doesn't get her way, and this should not be taken as a serious threat of litigation. As to whether Green and Jax will see each other in a courtroom on WWE TV, that remains to be seen, but we're sure Chelsea would prefer that than meeting Jax in the ring again. When WWE cut talent from its roster this week, Mustafa Ali was one of the names let go from the company, which came as a surprise to fans given that Ali had become a regular on NXT TV. In fact, Ali was scheduled to face Dominik Mysterio at NXT No Mercy next weekend in one of the most high-profile matches on the card. So what exactly caused Ali to be let go? One WWE source who reached out to House of Wrestling said that they do not believe Ali was ever going to get an opportunity to really shine, but wasn't sure why WWE wouldn't give him a chance. Those who worked with Ali recalled him being always upbeat and smiled. Even then, some could tell he was unhappy, with one person describing him as the ultimate pro. One possible reason given for Ali's release was a recent politically charged vignette on NXT TV in which he campaigned to be the next North American champion, like a politician seeking office. It was said that once some in WWE saw the vignette, they freaked out because Fox had previously expressed nervousness about WWE's character going into a political direction. Dave Meltzer later reported that Ali's release was likely a late decision, given that he'd been promoted for NXT No Mercy and was also scheduled to be on next week's Raw, but it has been reported that Ali himself wasn't too surprised to be cut. Another sign that the decision to release him was a late call is that NXT officials had not been given time to let his North American title feud play out, or even been allowed a week to write him out of it. When answering questions from Fightful's mailbag, Sean Ross Sapp said that NXT higher-ups were not happy about Ali's release ahead of his scheduled title match with Dominik Mysterio. Sapp added that they had plans in order and other matches set up, but now they cannot follow through due to Ali's release, forcing NXT's team to make last-minute plans. As to what those new plans will be, it's reported that WWE is considering Tyler Bate, Trick Williams, Wesley, or Dragon Lee as Ali's replacement, and we will hopefully have an answer on the next NXT. When it comes to the main roster releases, it's reported that the key reason is that those named were simply not being used enough to warrant being kept and weren't factored into future creative plans. One WWE official spoken to reportedly said that it's time in versus how much money you're paid versus return on investment in regards to WWE's mentality for those releases. It's never fun to lose your job, but now these wrestlers have the chance to prove themselves outside WWE, and what do you want to see next for those who have been cut? More on WWE's releases now, as PW Insider reports that Ikemen Jiro was released on Thursday. Jiro's final match will be featured on tonight's NXT Level Up episode, where he faces Luca Crucifino. The match was recorded on September 12th. Jiro was best known for his time in the tag team Jacket Time alongside Kushida back in 2021. Since Kushida's departure from WWE, Jiro never found a new storyline for himself. Abule Abade Fitzgerald took to LinkedIn to reveal that he was part of the September 21st WWE releases. Abadi Fitzgerald participated in the April 2022 tryouts during WrestleMania weekend. Following his tryout, he secured a contract after the SummerSlam 2022 tryouts. Mace and Mansoor were handed their release yesterday, and while speaking during a recent Twitch stream, the former Maximum Male Models star opened up about the nature of his WWE release. Mace revealed that he came to know of his WWE release while driving his daughter to school. Nick Khan earlier said that WWE will finalize and conclude on their releases by the end of next week, and one name that is on the verge of getting released again is Karrion Kross. Scarlett's name, however, is not mentioned. It's very fair that WWE underutilized them. Let's hope WWE rethinks on their decision to fire such good talent. When The Rock made his triumphant return to WWE last week, he wasn't exactly alone, as fans noticed a camera person scuttling around behind him filming some content. It turns out that this person is Jordan Drootman from The Rock's $7 production company, and on Twitter, Rock would share footage recorded by Drootman, giving him a shout out. The Rock's return earned a thunderous pop, one of the loudest The Rock has said he's ever heard, and Drootman's involvement made for some interesting footage of the Great One's epic comeback. Now, LA Knight debuted on WWE's main roster as a heel, but his popularity with fans has turned him babyface, but Knight's transition to being a good guy was not an easy change for him at first. Speaking on their Twitch stream after being released, Mace and Mansoor recalled a promo which saw Knight insult the fans in attendance despite his face turn being in full swing. Mace explained, "I'm like, what's going on? Everything okay?" And Knight goes, "I guess somewhere along the way something was lost because I was supposed to cut a babyface promo." I was like, "Excuse me?" He was like, "Yeah." Hunter was like, "Why'd you go and shit on the crowd?" I was like, "Cause I'm a heel?" And he was like, "No, you're not." And he was like, "Oh, oops." After a somewhat awkward transition, Knight is now one of the WWE's most popular babyfaces and has been listed as the #1 face on Smackdown. With this popularity, countless fans are hoping to see Knight at Fastlane, possibly teaming with John Cena. But for now, all we can do is wish him a full and speedy recovery. And we're ending with WWE, and this week it was reported that Vince McMahon has listed all his shares in WWE for sale, with some seeing this as a sign that he wants out of the industry. Some feel that Stephanie McMahon should have inherited the company from her father, given that she served as interim CEO during his absence, but not everyone is on board with the idea. When a fan said Stephanie shouldn't be handed the company, even going as far as to say she has hardly proved she can run WWE, this caused quite a stir, as well as a like from Shawn Michaels' account. Fans were shocked to see HBK like the tweet burying his best friend's wife, especially as the pair seemed to be close, but this shouldn't be taken as a sign of resentment from Mr. WrestleMania. Nick Hausman later explained that Shawn has someone use the account on his behalf, adding that the liking of the tweet was a simple slip of the thumb, and that HBK has a ton of respect for Stephanie. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful confirmed that Shawn doesn't use the account himself, so while he and Stephanie may have been at odds on TV in the past, there's nothing but respect in real life between the two.